Trimming your budget is one way you can survive or thrive through COVID-19. As a follow-on to our You're in Control video last week, today we're joined by NZHL Auckland Central business owner Nikki Vercoe, who's going to share some of her budget trimming insights. Hi Nikki.
Hey Lenska.
Right, we're getting straight in there today. So what's your number one budget trimming tip?
Well, I found after 6 years of working with New Zealand home loans clients and even looking at my own spending, the biggest part of our spend is food. So for myself, I used to have a bad habit of going to the supermarket regularly just to get the milk and coming out with $50, $100 worth of extra stuff that I didn't really need. So what I share with my clients and what I do on a Sunday is I create a menu for the 7 days of what meals we're going to have for breakfast, lunch and dinner. And I have a spreadsheet with all of the type of ingredients that I normally use. And I basically fill out that spreadsheet, print it off, give it to my husband, who then goes and gets exactly what we need for those meals for the week. I've found after using this for 6 years, it's had a double whammy in the fact that we don't actually overspend on our food budget, which is now great because I used to do that a lot. And secondly, it takes the pressure off me as to what are we going to feed the family for dinner tonight. So we're not tempted by a takeaway or an Uber Eats. So a takeaway becomes a real special treat.
Awesome, thank you. Now this next tip is a collation of all the little things, isn't it?
That's right, yep. So I think the good lesson that we've had out of this, and this comes off the back of talking with a lot of my clients the last 4 weeks, is that good old adage, needs versus wants. And so over time, I think what has happened is those wants have seeped into it being a need. I need this, where it's actually really a want. So the thing to think at the moment is now you're not spending much money on those takeaways or the Uber Eats or going out for coffees or whatever the money is that you're spending. Can you trim it so that when we come out of lockdown, that money that you were spending frivolously, you can actually put into your savings account, rainy day account, or even better, you can pay it off your home loan.
Right, so moving on, what about how you're managing your mortgage? Because often people think that's a fixed cost that they can't do anything about. So is there a savings or some sort of budgeting advice you can offer around the mortgage?
Absolutely. So it's all about structure, and most people, if they're not a New Zealand home loans client, don't understand what we mean by that. But generally speaking, in normal day-to-day living, you're too busy to look at that home loan. It's really not something you want to remind yourself of, and life just gets in the way. However, at the moment is a really good time to stop and have a look at your structure and reach out to a New Zealand home loans consultant to find out if you're actually utilising your structure to your advantage to help you save money on that home loan. One example I have is when I refinance clients to New Zealand home loans, 9 times out of 10, that client with another bank has had some sort of revolving credit structure, but they've never been taught how to use it. So they're actually wasting money on interest that they don't really need to do. So have a look at your structure. If you don't know what you're looking for, reach out to a New Zealand home loans consultant and ask for some help.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's so insightful. And we talk about it a lot in our business, don't we? But we sort of take it for granted that everyone knows. So thank you for that. Look, we've got one last tip for you, don't we, Nikki? And it's actually about spending, not saving. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, and it's a simple message from a passionately New Zealand owned and operated business. Now really is the time to think and buy local. At New Zealand Home Loans, one of our values is passionately Kiwi, and we've made a decision to push that message as widely as we can to support New Zealand's economic recovery.
Thanks, Nikki. What an awesome outtake. And honestly, our whole business feels so passionate about this. So please join us in being passionately Kiwi so we can all get through this. Thanks, everyone. See you, Nikki.